One of the biggest topic around the San Francisco 49ers is Debo Samuel and what his future will look like. Will it be a release, a post-June 1st release, or a potential trade? And a lot of what we were hearing early on was a lot of insiders expecting Debo Samuel to be released. However, we just got a pretty big report from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, who basically said Debo Samuel is actually a bit of a hot commodity right now with a couple teams. Jordan says the Commanders and Texans have had significant interest in trading for 49ers wide receiver Debo Samuel, while talks progressing in recent days. With talks progressing in recent days, source tells NFL on Fox. Other teams, including the Steelers and Broncos, have also checked in, but Houston and Washington are believed to be the most aggressive. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic from this report. Now, just because he's saying this doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but if there's anything that we have learned throughout these years of covering the offseason is when there's smoke, there is a lot of times fire. So it is at least a promising sign, especially for a player who is going to leave a huge dead cap hit in his wake. And what would make most sense for the San Francisco 49ers is to trade him. Because if you outright release him, he doesn't trigger the comp pick formula, so you won't be able to get a pick return in return for him for letting him walk, as if you were to do with the unrestricted free agent who potentially signs elsewhere. So this is the most ideal outcome. The most ideal outcome is you trade Debo. And it is interesting that the trend here is that it's by people, the two teams that are interested are the Commanders, who are now GM'd by Adam Peters, former 49ers general manager, who sounded like he was in talks to trade with Brandon Ayuk last year. So if they were talking about trading Brandon Ayuk, I wouldn't be surprised if they were also talking about trading for Debo Samuel as well. Maybe they're interested in Debo because his value is pretty low at the moment. And considering that Adam Peters was in the building when they drafted Debo and there throughout his majority of his career, he feels he knows Debo well enough to understand how to get the best out of him. So that's an interesting element. And then, of course, you have the Texans, who head coach is DeMeco Ryans, and obviously spent two seasons as the 49ers defensive coordinator, but he had been coaching for the 49ers for a while. So he also saw the rise of Debo Samuel and was a part of that whole situation. So those are two teams that know, and like, they have the intel on Debo Samuel. They know exactly who he is, most likely what the situation is. There's a relationship with the 49ers. So it's a good step in the right direction. I think that's part of it is, the relationship aspect as well. We've heard a lot of people who have, talked about the Raiders 49ers situation and how the Raiders would never trade Max Crosby to the 49ers. And however, I don't necessarily believe that to be true. It absolutely was true a couple years ago, especially with the Khalil Mack situation. So I get that. I understand that for sure. But it is interesting to see these teams that are named and basically saying that there's significant interest. So like we also mentioned, Steelers and Broncos are involved. I think the question becomes, what do you get in return? Do you get draft picks? Do you get potential players from the Commanders? I don't know if Jonathan Allen is going to be sticking around too much. He's kind of in a similar situation as Debo, kind of an aging vet, big contract, might be looking to get out of it. Maybe there would be a natural kind of opportunity to swap those types of players, Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle, for Debo Samuel, because we know they need a DT. Can you make that swap, go player for player, or just get draft picks in return? It'll be interesting to see what that could look like. The Texans, they trade us Stephon Diggs. I don't know if I want Stephon Diggs, to be perfectly honest with you. He seems like a problem off the field. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but at least there's some positive trade smoke and heading in the right direction of getting something in return for Debo. But you guys let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.